Okay, are you thinking about streaming over onto YouTube or Facebook and not really sure where to start? And also, are you thinking about using, ready for it, Mac products?
Then this video's for you. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Dale.
And I'm Walt.
And this is Live Streaming Tech. If you want to learn more about streaming on places like YouTube, Facebook, DLive, Twitch, and beyond,
then make sure you click that subscribe button and turn that bell notification on so you don't miss a single video.
a good friend of mine, Ryan A Raymond, actually, we met some time ago through a local meetup. He's actually from Cincinnati, Ohio. He and I just got to jib-jabbing, and he's really big in the merch community. That's all his thing. See, I'm big in self-publishing. He does merch. In any event, we just got to spitballing some ideas, and before long, I see him just growing massively. He got on YouTube and was monetized in less than a year. In fact, I think it was within a half a year that he got monetized.
Yeah, he said May is when he started on it.
So yeah, and that's the thing. So if you're thinking about like, okay, I want to go do live streaming, pay attention to what Ryan shares inside this interview. There's a lot of real good golden nuggets and some stuff that you're going to want to take home with you. And here's the really cool thing is we're not just going to be talking about YouTube. He's going to talk about Facebook Live as well.
Right.
And also one of my favorite things, and we're going to put some timestamps inside the description down below for various things you're going to find. One of my favorite things, Restream.io. Hello, it came and reared its ugly head again, although it's a pretty head. Thank you, Restream.
So those of you who are still stuck on Mob Crush or maybe are bouncing off of Mob Crush now that you're paying for that premium or have to pay that premium on Streamlabs OBS to get Mob Crush, now you might want to think about paying that $14 instead of the Streamlabs OBS, possibly over to Restream.io, since Dale's always he's had nothing but good things to say about them.
All right, without any further ado, here's the interview.
All right, Ryan Raymond. Actually, I was introduced to you through my brother Dale over on Self-Publishing with Dale. So I was intrigued because I seen you testing out one of your stream setups using Mac, which everyone's known, or everyone who knows me personally or has actually watched previous videos or previous live streams. I mean, I kind of trash on Mac when it comes to live streaming, and that's kind of due to me trying to help Dale initially live stream, and he was using Mac. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So Ryan Raymond. Last year, I kind of said this, I wanted a hobby is kind of where I started. I said I wanted to learn how to make money online is what I initially started with that goal. And I went through a whole bunch of things, buying and flipping textbooks and reselling them on Amazon, drop shipping. I even went and did like MTurk, where you just click and do surveys for hours and hours until your eyes bleed.
Guilty.
You've been there,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, I made $100 tonight, but I can't see. And I have this massive headache afterwards or something, So I was like, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do something fun. And that landed me in the world of merch by Amazon and print on demand. And I realized then, because I had been doing drop shipping and I ran into a whole bunch of issues like, ordering a product from China and getting the wrong one delivered to the customer 4 weeks later finally, and then having to order them a new one. And, for a $20 little cheap leather wallet, they waited 8 weeks for it, and you end up just refunding them their money to make them happy. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's got to be easier ways to do this. And I landed into Merch by Amazon. And I found some success there right away because I learned that don't just create things that you hope people are going to buy. Yeah. Identify a customer, make a product for them, and show it to them. What I found myself then was doing merch by Amazon and print on demand in general. And, you join Facebook groups to learn more, and people would ask questions. And I found that sometimes recording a quick video and sharing it provided a lot more value than I could write out.
Correct.
So people started saying, well, where's your YouTube channel? Where do you share your videos at? And I was like, well, I don't, but maybe I should. And I started getting a lot of friend requests. Mm-hmm. And I said, how about I make a page that's my name? And I started live streaming on Facebook. And, sometimes it was me sitting in my garage live streaming on my phone.
So Facebook was your true first platform then? Was that before your YouTube?
Yes. So I had started doing just getting familiar with it, I wasn't really thinking about quality or how to build anything with it. But I found if I went live, once or twice a week on my channel, I could get, 800 views if I shared it with other people.
Nice.
And I was like, wow. But, Facebook counts views different than YouTube
Correct.
does, obviously.
Correct.
But Facebook has a lot of reach issues, and the more you post, all of a sudden they're like, you better start paying us a little bit for us to show this to the people who actually said they wanted to watch your stuff, which is frustrating. And I'm sure anyone here who has done that has run into that issue. So I had built up an audience of around 500 or so. And I said, how about I start trying to do YouTube at the same time? Let's see if I can get over on YouTube. And I uploaded a few last August, and I was just downloading my Facebook lives and uploading them unedited right onto YouTube.
Okay.
Not a great idea, because usually the first 5 minutes of that live were, me fumbling around, getting it set up and doing all the things that, when you're new, you're still learning.
Yeah. And I went through the same
And
thing.
I got frustrated with it because I wasn't really seeing any results on YouTube. And I think that happens to a lot of people on YouTube. They get to a point and they're like, I'm doing things. Why isn't anyone watching? How come I'm not being found? I didn't understand keywords. I didn't understand tags. I wasn't putting custom thumbnails in there. Like sometimes the thumbnail was just a screenshot of my desktop, depending on where it picked it. And I just didn't understand what I was doing. So I said, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just going to stick over here on Facebook and keep learning, I guess is what I said. So I did that for a few more months, built up a little bit more of an audience. Around 800 people or so were watching my videos on fairly regular basis over there. And then actually, I think it was Dale shared an AppSumo discount for Restream when they had the lifetime deal this year.
He's a Restream fanboy.
And I was like, you know what? If I'm already doing this, how about I just set it up and see what I can do? And the moment I did that, I found I was getting better at quality. I was using OBS Studio to restream and then spreading it out to the multiple platforms.
Gotcha.
And from there, I just, as an electrical engineer, I'm a full-time electrical engineer outside of this whole world.
Okay.
And it just let my nerd freak fly here, flag fly, that I could really dive into this software and really start tweaking it. And
next thing you know, you're up till 2 a.m. reading forums and guilty on that.
So, and that's all part of the learning process when anyone's doing this stuff. So I got in there, started really playing with it, and I said, okay, I'm going to really focus on YouTube. I really wanted it to be there. So I kind of told my audience, I'm going to be doing more of the videos over there. And, that brought in my first few hundred subscribers and people that said, yeah, we'll watch you on YouTube too, it was a great benefit to be able to port that audience over. So that gave me the motivation to get started. My first videos would get, 100 views after a couple weeks. And I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And that was August or in April of this year. And I was very sporadic. I'd stream and then 2 weeks off, and then I'd stream again, and then I'd stream every day for a week, and then I wouldn't stream for 2 weeks. And it just got really kind of hectic. And I realized that was because I didn't have a system set up. I didn't have a process for how to go about preparing the video, sitting down, streaming, ending, sharing, promoting, and going through that. So I sat down and I said, what do I have to do this? And I kind of developed this process of doing my keyword research before the video, because before I was recording the video and then trying to write the title and descriptions afterwards. And when you do a live, that just tanks everything. That's just the worst way to do a live stream, is to not have all of that stuff.
And it actually creates, because I did this before too, it actually creates more work in the long run for you afterwards. Like, it's easier to find those keywords initially, like to come up with the topic, to come up with the content, search it out, and then build your content around that, versus throwing a bunch of content out there and then going, oh, okay, well, I talked about 20 different things during this live stream. Which one should I focus on?
That's right. And, so the first 2 minutes might be relevant to what you'd put in your title and bullet, but the next 20 minutes that I was live streaming didn't. So I said, okay, so I built up that process. Write the title and description, create the thumbnail, get everything set up, make sure everything's coordinated, all my tags, then click start streaming. And I've tested different things where I do kind of like a long format show, And what I found was, a lot of people say, create your live streams with the intent for them to be, you could rehash the content and, and re-upload it. And I tried that a few times, and the audience that was watching me, they said, well, that's just what you uploaded last week. Just, you cut out all your ums and ahs. And I was like, okay, that's fair. So I started deciding that I was going to focus on trying to make it as close to like an edited style video. So sometimes my live streams are only 12 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
But I really don't enjoy editing. Like, it's something, I edited a video the other night to upload. I recorded 14 videos for a series, and I sat down here and I spent like 8 hours recording and then 12 hours editing. I was like, oh, I'm not doing this again. But the style of video I was doing. Yeah. And I have found that if I sit here and just go live, all of my like worries about how I'm going to present myself, I just get a lot more comfortable than thinking about, did I say it right? Do I got to cut that out or anything?
Very true.
And it just makes life a lot easier for me. I found I pick the topic, I go until I'm done with it, say hi to a few people in the chat, and then I say, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And it made it where all of a sudden I had a perfect setup to do a 15, 20, 30-minute live stream daily. And, if I miss a day here or there, that's not a big deal. The audience, I don't promise them I'm doing every day. Yeah. But by driving, I don't know, I'm looking here, in the last 28 days, I've probably got around actually 30 videos uploaded. Some days I did 2 a day.
And that's a good approach. That's a totally different approach to say what game streamers or whatnot doing. The content you're talking about is you're talking about merch, so you don't want to be sitting there talking for 2 hours, 3 hours about merch where you're just going to repeat yourself. And the other thing is by keeping that format that short and sweet, it keeps you from burning out, and it also keeps your consumers or your viewers wanting more. Because that was the thing that Dale and I learned when we were doing music and we had a band. We realized that we were more in demand because we would get up on stage, do 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops, and we would roll out. It's not that we didn't have more material to play for the audience. It was just, that was our thing. We went high energy, boom, here we are. We were off the stage, and it left people wanting more versus that local band that's up there for 2 hours droning on and on and on, thinking they're the biggest, band since sliced bread. I mean, I can understand that. I know a lot of people would probably put their noses up to you and go, well, a live stream should be longer than 15 minutes. That's the thing. It's, and that's the thing here at Live Streaming Tech. We're trying to, show everyone is that not all live streams are created equal. It's like, it depends on your content. I know a lot of the questions a lot of times is, well, I'm having issues, Walt, because I'm running a laptop that has a good graphics card, but it only has an i3 processor. And it's like, well, what content are you trying? If you're trying to stream a game while running 2 cameras and a fancy, an XLR microphone setup, then obviously that i3 is not going to be able to handle that. Now, if you're sitting there just doing an RRL or chatting like you and I are doing, then an i3 is going to be ample for it. So let me bite on that real quick here, because like I said, the reason why I was really turned on to your content was because of your setup. So could you tell us a little bit about what you're actually using, what PC, or I'm sorry, Mac you're using? Give us a little bit of the specs and the different phones that you actually using. Because are you still running with the 4 cams, or was that just like a hypothetical test stream?
Some days I do, some days I don't. I have found that my really kind of best setup, and like we're using Zoom right now, so this is a lot like my initial setup I had. I'm using my actual computer-based webcam, and before I was using the computer microphone as well. Okay. So ended up with audio issues. Then I added headphones. Okay, so earbuds.
Audio issues, are we talking latency? Because that was the main issue I noticed when trying to help people use Mac when doing live streams.
No, I really have never run into like a mismatch of sound and video, but I sounded very tinny, okay. And
so we're talking quality.
We're talking quality of the sound. And so the first thing I changed was I bought my Blue Yeti microphone here. I said, I need something. I don't need to go crazy. And
that's the thing. It's a good starter mic. It is a great starter mic.
And in the day I put it in there, everyone's like, wow, your sound's a lot clearer today. And it was just one change. And this was, I've been doing different live streaming at this point for almost 8 months, I would say, before I bought that. And just that one change. And I was like, wow, that made things a lot better. And it's a confidence booster. And if people are sitting there like, I can't do this, I don't have the right equipment. I literally streamed holding a phone up to my face and using a Mac webcam and onboard sound for the longest time. And then I said, how can I get some better cameras in here? And I started doing some research. I was like, I have a really good camera on my phone. How can I make this my webcam? And I realized I also had an iPhone 7 sitting in a drawer, an iPhone 6 Plus sitting in a drawer, and an old iPhone 5 sitting in a drawer.
Nice.
I was like, well, they're all just sitting in there. I've had them over the years, and I wiped them all slate clean, and I bought the OBS camera app and installed it on every single one, set up the plugins, and went to the store, went to Walmart. I bought these little, I think they're ONN brand, $8 tripods to set up my cameras. And I've got one here. I've got a tower camera over here. And then I had one that I said I could whip around and move. And
so that's what I'm really impressed.
That's bought a little USB splitter and started just playing with setting up different scenes, settings, and trying different ways to make sure the audience is going to engage. Because if you're just sitting here staring at one camera the whole time with a screen share, I found that if I add a cut scene where I just swap over and all of a sudden I can turn here, I can have a new background. I can set up my TV with a nice, big image over here that people can see. I usually keep a subscribe icon or something on it. Yeah. And it just added a little bit of quality to it that you don't normally see in any of the other community doing this. Correct. Most everyone sits there,
especially your content. Like you would see that, say, in a game streamers, like you go on Twitch and some of your high-end streamers or whatever, they are using those multiple camera angles and using professional lighting and this and that. But yeah, the content that you're providing or whatever, that I know I haven't seen much of that. Then again, I don't go diving real deep into YouTube either, looking for that style of content. But you're right, it does. It changes that eye up. It keeps them from getting bored, so you're constantly engaging them visually, so then therefore they're going to pay attention to your audio and what you're actually talking about. And that's the thing I love. I mean, you're pointing out like your different stands and stuff for your camera. It's this cheap stuff, and the cameras, literally there were phones that you were no longer using that were just lying around, so you repurposed them. That's excellent bootstrapping, or as I would call shoestringing, and that's what I did. Was literally, you were talking about how you just started streaming with the phone. I started out with a cheap little laptop and a video capture card, and I would just sit there and play very minimalistic games because the laptop wouldn't be able to handle it. But that's the thing. And the small viewership I did have through donations and whatnot, I built it up. And that was the thing that I think once they realized that I was taking all that money that was being put into the channel, actually putting it in the channel instead of ordering pizza and drinking some beer. And I got the mic, better graphics card, better PC. I mean, you name it, I just kept building it up. And, I like that. I like that mentality where you're right. A lot of people that first start getting the streaming are, oh, I don't have that, or I don't have enough, or I don't have a good camera, I don't have a good mic. The thing is just start. You'd be surprised who watches you and then who supports you. And that's the thing. It's great to know that you have those long-term supporters, and then they can watch you grow. And then, later on, 2 years down the road, you could be like, oh my God, remember that time, my first stream? And they can laugh with you, because then it's an inside joke that only you guys know about, because that content's long gone by then, or maybe you have it, hidden somewhere like I do.
Yeah, I mean, they're up and, people see it. I mean, if you wanted to know my computer, I'm using Mac Retina 5K with a 27-inch. It's a 2015 model. Okay. So, I mean, it's 4 years old at this point. It's got Intel Core i5, 3.2 gigahertz. I got 32 gigabytes of memory and AMD Radeon R9, the onboard 2048 megabyte graphics card. It's not a powerhouse for streaming by any means, but I'm not doing gaming.
Correct.
And a lot of the things I ran into is a lot of the advice for streamers is obviously targeting gaming. And I was like, and even if I search on YouTube, streaming for non-gamers,
it still comes up.
You don't get anything. It's all about gaming.
Yeah,
it's all about gaming. I was like, really, everyone's kind of hanging me out to dry. So I was like, all right, I'm just diving into all the gaming tips. And what can I pull out of there? And what can I grab here that I can mix into my strategies? The moment I figured out how to get all these cameras set up, my brother calls me up. He's like, "Hey, guess what I just bought?" He bought himself the brand new Sony A6 400, and he's like, "I'm gonna go and do I think I'm gonna start a YouTube channel too." And he's got a better camera than I have. I was like, "Yeah, go for it, man. Just get started." Yeah. And that's really the biggest thing with any of this stuff that you're doing anywhere. Yeah. The first step is just to do it.
Correct, because here's the thing. You could read all the forums you want. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want on live streaming and whatnot. Stuff is going to happen. That's the thing Dale and I joke around about is if something didn't go wrong on your live stream, what went wrong? Like, that's right. Nothing went wrong, so something went wrong. Like, you're going back and you're nervously watching your replay because something obviously went wrong that you did not catch. Because 9 times out of 10, you know, whether it's dropped frames, whether, you know, your mic stand falls over like he was doing the podcast one day. I mean, there's always something, or dogs barking in the background, or somebody calling on your phone, or worst case scenario, my wife, even though I use a green screen, 9 times out of 10 they can hear because the way I have my Yeti dialed in. My Yeti is super dialed in through OBS. I mean, I'm using the noise suppression. I have so many filters on it. It just, and that's a lot of the hosts and raids I've gotten on Twitch. And you know, mind you, I am a game streamer, but they've rated or hosted me like bigger channels, and the reason why they say they do is because they said, you sound professional. You sound like, and I'm like, well, I'm just using Yeti. And a lot of people trash on you the Yeti. And I don't have the nice XLR Yeti. I have the USB blackout edition Yeti mic.
Same mic.
And the other thing too is I don't have it sitting right in front of my face. There's no giant popper on it. It is literally hanging above my head via a boom, a spring boom. And it's out of camera. It's out of sight, out of mind. And that's the crazy thing about it. They're like, how do you get that sound? It's like, well, trial and error. Sometimes you got to do it yourself. I can watch all the YouTube videos I want when it comes into dialing in that sound, but because that's the thing, your voice is different than my voice. So you're going to sound different on that Yeti than I'm going to sound. So
that's right. Everyone's settings are different.
Exactly. So if I go with the natural setup or whatever, you probably will have the bassier sound because you have a deeper voice than me, where I have more of a nasal. But the thing is by tweaking it and dialing it in, you can actually get rid of a lot of those sounds and the hard keys and this and that. And I don't need a popper or a big boom or.
And your audience will tell you. Your audience will tell you what's wrong.
Yeah.
I thought I had everything dialed in, and then last week. Like at first it was, you know, I was using the headphones. Like, hey man, it's a little bit hissy, tinny. Like if you had a different mic, it would be a big improvement. And I got that. And then I got the cameras, and things have been going pretty well. And then I got monetized on YouTube.
Nice.
And you know what happens when you get monetized? Ads play. And do you know what the volume on ads are? What YouTube set them at. You know what my volume was? I realized I was a lot quieter than the ads. And all of a sudden people are like, man, you got to turn up your sound, because the moment the ad plays, I'm getting blown out by the ads. And then I have to turn it back up to get to you. And with a mid-roll ad, and they weren't expecting it, it hits them again.
Yeah.
So one of the members of my audience messaged me on Facebook, and he's like, hey man, you know, you might want to try this or this or this. And I set up a private live stream, and I said, how about this? How about you jump on the stream with me? And I'm just going to sit here. I added my noise gate. I added my noise suppression. I added a compressor, and and the thing I had those 3 already. And what I was missing, actually, I needed to add a gain filter, just the way my setup was. I was missing a gain filter.
Correct.
And it was causing my volume to be lower because I kept pushing every other setting, and I kept showing that I was clipping and peaking. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I kept dialing it down.
Yeah.
But adding the gain filter in, it seems to have balanced everything out for me now.
Yeah.
And then you talk about, you know, what went wrong on that stream. The next stream I did after that, I had that setting set up on unlisted, did a whole live stream. No one joined me. I was like, what is going on? Why is no one here tonight? Like, I did it, and I was going to make it a little bit of a longer one, but I was at like 15 minutes. I was like, there's no one here. I don't know. I knew a few other streams in the community were going on at that time. I was like, all right, I'll just kill it here. An hour later, still no one had watched it. And I went in and looked, and it's unlisted. Like, unlisted.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll learn those things.
Exactly.
You know, it's, and
so as far as the technical side, so like I said, I'm kind of hard on Mac products. Here's the thing, it's, to me, I've used Mac before. Matter of fact, I even have one of the old Macs in my basement that my in-laws gave me. But to me, it's all left-handed. But as far as using Mac, I mean, obviously you're using them for cams, you're using it, you know, as far as your hardware goes. Have you had any issues? So obviously I've already asked you if you had any latency issues. Latency wasn't an issue for you, so that's a good thing, because I noticed that when OBS, back when Dale used it, there was a lot of latency issues, and we constantly would have to dial it in. Okay, we got it perfect, and then he would go live the next week, and all of a sudden it was off again. So we called it Kung Fu lips. It was like, you know, and then
the sound comes afterwards.
So he got overly frustrated with it, and that's why he went out and finally purchased the Alienware Aurora R7. So have you had any issues? I mean, obviously you haven't had latency issues. Have you had any issues other than that?
When I first put in all the cameras, I tried pushing everything to the max settings I possibly could at highest, bit rate. I have gigabit, 1 gigabit service here, so I get 250 megabit upload.
Nice.
So I was like, I could drive anything out of this, but my computer couldn't quite. I was trying to do a 4K video the first time, and
I think I remember you posted that on the Facebook group. I was like, holy Jesus.
Yeah, I was trying that, and so I've gone through. I've decided I scaled it down to a 1280 by 720. am able to push 60 frames per second without much of an issue.
Good.
And kind of dialed in the settings here to get. Let me look here. Using a video bit rate of 4350 right now, and it seems to be a good sweet spot for getting a good quality video out. And I don't know, you just learn. That week of the video that you saw that's up there was finally like a whole day of getting it and testing streams, and that one worked. And I was like, I think I finally got it dialed in, and that's where I left it up. And
and that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up about as far as your upload speed and stuff. When you're talking about that, and you're saying that was your sweet spot, and that's the other thing too. That has to go along with your hardware, your content. What are you trying to do? Are you spinning 5 plates at the same time? In other words, like streaming games, watching a video, and doing this and that, versus where you're running multiple cameras. So obviously you're still using a lot more power as far as you running those cams, but you found that sweet spot. And that's the thing we get a lot of flack for, because we do these videos where we recommend these different settings, and people kind of get butthurt, and they're like, well, I stream to Twitch, doing 8,000 kbps, and I have no problem. Well, that's good for you. That works for you. That's because your hardware can handle it, your internet speed can handle it. And then, the other thing too is I have to keep in mind, unless they're a partner, they're not guaranteed that encoding. So there's, obviously I don't know that YouTube has that issue, but I know Twitch will have that issue. And if you don't have that encoding, it doesn't really serve a purpose for uploading that much data at one time. And it can actually disenfranchise a lot of future viewers, because a lot of people watch on their mobiles, and they're watching on their hotspots or Wi-Fi or whatever. And if they keep getting that buffer wheel, they're out, where you don't have that issue. You don't have that issue because your streams are short and sweet and to the point. But say somebody who's streaming longer or whatnot, doing an hour-long stream or 2-hour-long stream, if they keep getting that buffer wheel, they're going to roll. They'll come back, and I've actually seen it before where I'll come back and watch the replay. And then that's no fun, because that defeats the purpose of live stream. You want to be able to engage the viewers and have them talk to you and you talk to them. So how long have you been streaming for? You said something about you in April? Was that when you first started?
In April, I would say in April is when I really decided I was taking this serious.
And that was via Facebook. So do you still do the Facebook streaming, or you're strictly YouTube now?
I have been just doing YouTube for about the last month now. I disconnected. I mean, when I first started setting up Restream, I was doing Periscope, Twitch, Discord. I was trying to set up every platform I possibly could. And then I was like, well, I don't even know how that platform works. And it was that same thing. Like when I started YouTube or tried doing YouTube last August, I didn't know how it worked.
Correct.
And you're going to get frustrated if you're expecting success on something and you're not taking the time to learn how it works. And so I found that I can do YouTube. My Facebook audience doesn't seem to, and when I started doing YouTube, my views on Facebook plummeted because a lot of my audience preferred YouTube, but I was only putting it on Facebook. So right now I do the live stream. I post a link the moment I go live that I'm going live over here, what my topic's going to be. They jump in. We hang out, we do some chatting with the people who are online. And, the more you learn, like some things like my audience retention time, when I was first doing this, I was getting like 2-3 minute audience retention time. Now, over the last month, I think I'm sitting at almost 7.5 minutes audience retention.
Nice.
And that's average view duration.
And that's with your 15-minute streams?
Yeah, so I'm getting 50-60% retention
yeah.
rates, and it's really been fun. And because of that, every now and then I'll sneak in one of those longer videos where I'll go for 45 minutes, and all of a sudden I can pull a video that's going to have an average view duration of 20 minutes.
Nice.
And in the niche, YouTube seems to not like the live streams from a lot of people in search results. Like if you look for them, you're not going to find a whole lot of streamed search results, just because the average view duration is only like 10%, right. And that might have been a 10-minute view duration, but most people didn't watch the whole content. So by keeping it a little bit shorter, and as the audience watches more and more, I find I can stretch it a little bit more, and a little bit more,
taking them along for the ride.
Yeah, and as more people are doing it, they're like, oh, I really like it. And they're like, okay, I stream about 9:30 every night. I try and get everyone into a routine. About 9:30 p.m., I'm going to go live. They're just used to that. And there's a lot of people that just watch it on replay. And I even polled them. I put up polls, and it's only about 10% of my audience that really want to jump into the live. But those people, I definitely want to make sure I'm serving them, because they're the ones that definitely give it the initial boost of its views. But I've got people that say they love waking up to seeing that there was a notification that Ryan was live last night, and they watch it, with their morning coffee in the morning.
And that's nice.
And by having it, 10 to 20 minutes long, it's not a burden for them to try and watch the whole thing while they're going about their daily routine. So,
what I find
keeping it to where you can give them the value, I find, is I don't need to give them 5 videos in one video if I can do one video that hits the topic. And it makes it easier to do a live stream daily, because there's a whole lot more topics I can do then.
And I've noticed that they're even kind of doing that, everyone's talking about podcasts is the thing. Everything's about podcasts now. And I noticed that too, that a lot of the podcast formats used to be this 2-3 hour long podcasts, and they're now going down to that 20-minute, maybe even 30-minute format at the most. And that's probably because they're finding that their retention rate is a lot long, or they're getting a higher percentage of that retention rate versus when they did these 3 hour long podcasts and they break these topic ups. Well, you kind of answered one of my questions, but we're going to kind of dive back in the well. But I was going to ask you, what platform do you prefer? But it sounds like you kind of prefer YouTube right now. So let me kind of flip that question, and then, since we know that you started on Facebook and YouTube, what is the difference? Was there a benefit to streaming on Facebook versus YouTube, or was there a benefit to streaming on YouTube versus Facebook? In other words, what were the pros and cons of the two platforms?
One of the biggest frustrations I have with Facebook is if I have 1,000 people following me on Facebook and I do a live stream, only like 20% of them even get told ever that I went live. They have to go search to my page and find it.
Gotcha. So notification then was a problem, an issue where YouTube is actually better at notifying your viewers.
I really had to direct people like, okay, you have to go here on my page. You have to click follow, turn on all notifications. And YouTube's basic notifications generally get enough people, going on with it. But that was by far the biggest problem, was reach. And the more I did it, the more YouTube started bumping it down, and then immediately get done like, hey, this one did pretty good. Why don't you boost it? I'm like, pretty good. You only showed it to 20 people. And I've got 800 on here right now.
Yeah.
And so and I guess really that was kind of the frustration of Facebook, was it just kept suppressing the content.
So what we'll put that negative aside. Was Facebook doing anything right as far as live streaming? Did you feel that there was a benefit having streamed on Facebook?
I think that people would watch and they would already be there. If they were on their phones already scrolling, it was easy for them to pop up.
Okay.
But they wouldn't stay as long.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I just, someone would come in like, hey, Ryan, how's it going? I'll come back and watch this later. And then if they'd ever remember to or not.
Gotcha.
And I just found that on YouTube, I had a better organic reach. I had a better opportunity to reach more people. And even the Facebook Watch platform it's growing. Hopefully they'll actually turn it into something. But there's just no organic search. So if someone's on Facebook and they're looking for, in my case, merch by Amazon topics, they type it in, the videos don't even get surfaced unless they're really dialing into it. And I guess it just kind of became discovery. And I can get that same discovery in a post by posting the YouTube video. Correct. So I found that I can get better engagement by posting a funny picture that's related to my content on Facebook a little bit before I'm going live. And then they'll be like, oh, all these people just engage with your page. Let's show them this one too. And that it's just playing with it. I don't know. I've been building Facebook pages forever. It was just a hobby I started like in 2010. I said, I just want to learn how this works. And I built my first like 16,000 follower page that talks about this topic. And then I got a 12,000 follower page that talks about this topic and this topic and this topic. And
so there wasn't a problem of you getting followers, is you obviously had the followers. It was this Facebook being able to deliver properly to those followers. And from what it sounds like to you, it sounds almost like a greed thing where it's like, okay, we're going to give it to a few people, but you're going to have to pay to give it to more people.
If you want it to anyone else, you know, and they're like, hey, why don't you just boost this for $5 today?
Where YouTube is like, we're going to get our money regardless. Don't worry about that. We're going to run ads and we're going to get our money. So you don't worry about pushing it. We're going to push it for you. And if you happen to tweet about it or put it on your Facebook page, we're cool with that too. So, and that's the thing. I've noticed this as far as live streaming is Facebook was late to the streaming game. YouTube was even behind the ball as far as the curve. They had a hard learning curve as far as live streaming, and they're still playing around with it. They're still tweaking it. I think it could still be a lot better on YouTube. But then a lot of people kind of flip it too, where they look at Twitch, and guess what? Discoverability comes with who has the most viewers. You know, those are the ones you see towards the top. And there's really no searchability unless you're searching for a specific game or a certain creative topic or whatever within their creative arts or creative channel. So the thing is once again, us live streamers kind of look back and we look at YouTube's algorithm, and even though we know it's not perfect, it's still the best when it comes to serving up whatever type of content you're trying to deliver to a specific audience, because that's the ultimate thing is, as live streamers, we want to gain new viewers. We love our viewers we have now, but we want to grow our live viewership at the same time.
And you know, with that, I remember when I was first starting looking at traffic sources on YouTube and things like that, my external used to be like 70 to 80% of my views. And now today, my last 28 days, it's 15%. And browse features now, the people who are here is 26%, and I'm reaching 14% on YouTube search, 14% on channel pages, and 10% on suggested now. So it provides a diverse mix. And also the other thing was too, really, to get monetized on Facebook for videos, you gotta be in the millions of views all the time. And I was able to, with, you know, focus from April, I got monetized, you know, in July. So I was able to get those views in that duration time. Now, is that greedy of me? I don't know, could be, but I don't do it because it's not, you know, I enjoy it.
It's not greedy.
If I'm going to get paid for it,
exactly.
Let's go where the person who's going to offer, where I can gain the most value and provide the most value to the audience, and then the platform can provide me the most value back. So it kind of just starts rolling and goes hand in hand there.
Go ahead and give a quick plug to your YouTube channel.
Yeah, sure.
And then Facebook
Ryan
channel,
A Raymond.
anything you want to plug.
Yeah, put it this way. If you search for Ryan A Raymond, you're going to find me under that name on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Gosh, I don't even know how many platforms but it's my name, Ryan A Raymond, and you'll see a logo that kind of looks like this one here on my shirt. This is one of my merch shirts.
I love the logo too, by the way.
yeah, it's fun. That was just, you know, I took a picture one day, made it on my phone. I was like, that's my logo. There we go. So